Hi, this is Mike. This tutorial is going to be on hiatal hernias. I think in overseas from here, they're called hiatus hernias. Your stomach is like a balloon sitting here just below your lungs and just under the diaphragm that separates the stomach and the lungs. Now, because you have a tube running up through the diaphragm, this muscle layer, there has to be a hole in it. The tube is your throat, your esophagus. Those two things, the tube, your throat, and the diaphragm are not physically connected. They're free to move independently. So there isn't a seal there. There's a little gap there. Now, for people who have severe digestive disorders and don't deal with it quickly and appropriately, for instance, with our program, your stomach is bloated a lot of the time. That's kind of complicated. I've covered that in a couple of articles. I'm not going to get into it, but you damage the valves at the near the esophagus and at the bottom of the stomach to where any gas that's formed in the stomach tends to just keep filling up and bloating without being released. So in the case of someone with a hiatal hernia, what's happened in my opinion is the stomach has been bloated severely enough times or for a long enough period of time that it actually pushes up through the diaphragm. A small aneurysm in the stomach pushes up through the diaphragm itself, and doctors call that a hiatal hernia. Doctors will tell you they have no idea what causes it, but if you just look at an X-ray or a CT scan of the stomach of a person who has a hiatal hernia, it appears very obvious that it is simply the stomach has ballooned up to the point where part of it has pushed up through the diaphragm. For those of you that suffer with a hiatal hernia, it can cause a number of problems. It can make your acidic feeling worse. It can allow the acid in your stomach to reach up into your esophagus more easily. It can cause you problems sleeping, and obviously you already have a problem with the valves fore and aft of the stomach being scarred, damaged, and not working properly. The couple of recommendations I would make would be these. First of all, you have to make your meals small. A small meal does a couple of things. First of all, it doesn't fill the stomach with food. If the stomach is filled with food, it's much easier to bloat because then it doesn't take much gas to make the stomach have to start to swell. A small amount of food leaves a large amount of space for the normal gas production in the stomach to be tolerated by a normal-sized stomach without it swelling up and worsening your hiatal hernia. Secondly, you don't want to eat within an hour or so of going to bed, because then all this processing starts taking place, and when you lay down you tend to make a couple of things worse. You tend to pinch the valves. Because you're in a prone position, you tend to allow the acid to flow more easily because there's no gravity keeping it down in the bottom of the stomach. You allow the acid fluid to rise up near your esophagus where it can do some serious damage. In some cases, extended of course, that can even cause esophageal cancer. So my two main recommendations for a person with a hiatal hernia are: don't eat large meals. Eat a meal maximum in volume the size of your fist. And secondly, don't eat within an hour, hour and a half of going to bed. And of course, I hope it goes without saying, although the program will not cure the aneurysm, the portion of the hiatal hernia that extends through the diaphragm, it does attack the root problem of what caused it in the first place, which is overproduction of acid. So if you'll follow the program, whatever healing and returning to normal your body is going to be able to allow will take place in you, but not if you don't stop the acid production with something like our program. So that's my advice for someone with a hiatal or hiatus hernia. Thanks.